Greenwald to come in and present to us today. Okay, Mrs. Greenwald has written many books, including the TBH books, the Friendship Blitz series, and the Pink and Green trilogy. Okay, so now, without further ado, let me give her a nice warm welcome, author Lisa.
Clapping for all of you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here today. Fun fact, my niece went to this school. She's just graduating high school, so she's a little bit older, and I can't do the math about when she actually went here. But she went to this school, and we're in New Milford all the time visiting family. So I'm thrilled to be back and so excited to talk to you guys about books. Now, just so I have a sense of what everyone's thinking, so the books of mine that you've read the most are the TBH books. Yes? Okay. So I'm going to go over the path to getting a book published and things like that and writing. And I'm going to talk really quickly. And I'm not going to mention all of my books, but at the end, I'm going to take any and all questions about anything you want to ask me. It could be about ice cream. It could be about my dog. It could be about TBH. It could be about writing, anything. So keep your questions in your head. Remember them, and at the end, I'm going to leave so much time for questions. And apologies that I talk so fast, but I just want to get to everything. So if you can't understand me, let me know. Okay, so I always start a presentation with this picture. One, because I just think it's very funny. I'm in my pajamas. I'm on this very old couch. I have a stack of books next to me. Who here has read the Berenstain Bears back in the day? Okay, so I loved them as a kid. I'm sitting there. I don't know who was trying to take this picture. It could have been my mom, could have been my dad, could have been a grandparent. I have no idea. But I'm giving this face that says, why are you bothering me to take this picture? Because I'm clearly very busy. I'm clearly reading my books. Leave me alone. So why am I sharing this with you today? It is because so much of being a good writer is being a good reader. So show of hands, I think I know the answer, but raise your hand if you like to read. Yes, this is great. Raise your hand if you'd rather sweep the garage than read. Okay, a couple. It's fine. It's totally fine. No judgment. I don't even know if people sweep their garages. I don't even have a garage. I'm throwing it out there. But here's the deal. Not everyone loves to read at all ages of their life. My husband hated to read as a kid. He loves to read now. So many people who don't love to read, it's not because they don't actually like to read. It's because they haven't found the right book yet. So give it time. But if anyone here thinks that down the line they might want to be a writer one day, the best way to get started with writing is to read. And read as much as you can. And that means read outside your comfort zone. Everybody knows what I mean by that? For me, I love writing realistic fiction, and I love reading realistic fiction. That's my favorite thing to read. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't read fantasy. It doesn't mean I shouldn't read historical fiction, science fiction, biographies, nonfiction, right? All the things, because the more you read, the better your writing will be. And another good way to get started with writing is to keep a diary, which I'm sharing with you, my very embarrassing diary. Who here keeps a journal or keeps a diary? Amazing. That's a lot of you. So I started keeping a diary in 4th grade, and for a long time I was really good about it, and I would write in it every night. Eventually I got lazy and I stopped writing it. Then for a while I kept a gratitude journal, and then now I'm back doing this thing where I have a book that has 5 years on a page, and you have a couple of lines per year. Has anyone seen these? Or maybe a parent keeps them, you have? And so I'll write a little bit before bed each night about what happened that day, and then you can look back on the years before it. So why am I sharing this very 80s looking diary with you? Is because this, I think, is the beginning of my writing journey. And I'm going to be even more embarrassing by sharing a page from the diary, which talks about how I had this fight with my best friend Kelly at the time. I was very worried about it. And then I had a crush on this boy, Dan. And Dan inspired this character, Evan, in My Life in Pink and Green, my first ever book. Has anyone here read My Life in Pink and Green? It's pretty old by now. It came out 16 years ago. But people still read it. And so why am I sharing my diary with you? And I've just met you. But the thing is because keeping a diary is such a good way to get writing, to start writing, for many reasons. One, it's probably your most emotional writing, right? It's what you're scared of, what you're frustrated by, what you're sad about, what you're excited about, your a crush, a friend, a fight with a friend, all the things. You just write it, you just get it out. And hopefully, no one is going to read your diary, right? It's just for you. You don't have to worry about spelling, you don't have to worry about punctuation, you don't have to worry about grammar, and everything is right there for you. So if any of you are sitting out there thinking, I want to be a writer one day, 2 things to do to get started. Read as much as you can, keep a journal. Then, this is a story I wrote in 6th grade called Piano of the Past, which is based on this book, which is my favorite book of all time. Has anyone here read Tuck Everlasting? Ooh, did you guys read it in your class?
Yeah, that's our read aloud.
Oh my God! Just this section? Just this class?
I think Mrs. Keppel is reading it too, but I've read it for years. It's my favorite book.
Oh my God! Do you guys like it?
Yeah, I love it. Yes.
Interesting.
Best news! This has never happened to me that a class is actually reading it when I'm this is amazing. This has literally never happened. So that's my favorite book of all time. I read it in 6th grade, and it completely changed my life. And you guys know that the 50th anniversary of the book edition is coming out in September.
Oh, no, I didn't.
And the new audiobook is also coming out. And has anyone here watched The Gilmore Girls? So you know Alexis Bledel and The Gilmore Girls, the actress? She's the narrator of the new audiobook. She was also in the movie. Fun fact. Okay, so this book completely changed my life. I'm going to show you. Okay. So I'm showing you one more embarrassing picture, and that's the last one. And that's because I have terrible bangs. I'm holding a clarinet reed. It's nighttime at school. It's after a band concert. How many of you have had that feeling where you go to school at night and like the whole thing feels like a little bit different? Like the walls look different. You're just like, oh my God, this is what the school's like at night. So I remember that so vividly. And I remember what it was like to have these people as friends. And Sunny, My Life in Pink and Green, is based on Sonia, who's in the yellow. And to get back into that zone of what it's like to be in middle school, people ask me all the time, how do you write like you're in middle school? It's 2 things. One, I sometimes still feel like I'm in middle school. It's weird. And second of all, I go back to my pictures like this. I go back to my journal entries. I go back to all the things, and I get back into that moment and all the feelings that came with it. So, I think I skipped a slide. Anyway. All right, I think I missed a slide, but here's what I was going to tell you. So, my first job out of college, I was applying all over the place trying to get a job. I sent a letter to the publisher of Tuck Everlasting, and I said, I'm graduating college, I need to find a job. Tuck Everlasting is my favorite book of all time. Are you hiring? They said yes. They called me. I went for an interview. I got the job, all because Tuck Everlasting was my favorite book, and I was so passionate about it. And I worked in publishing for 2.5 years, doing all sorts of boring things like photocopying and filing and who knows what, reading manuscripts, all the things, talking to the authors. And I thought, okay, I like this, but I want to be a writer. I want to actually be one of the writers. I've loved making up stories since I was a kid. I've loved reading. I want to be a writer. And I applied to the New School, to the MFA program in Writing for Children, and I wrote so much. I wrote 20 pages a week. Raise your hand if you feel like 20 pages is a lot. Yes, I did. I thought it was a lot. And I did all sorts of things at the New School. It was a community of writers. I'll tell you a fun fact that Jenny Hahn was in my class. For people who like the Summer I Turned Pretty. Any Summer I Turned Pretty fans? Okay. So I wrote a ton. And I learned to give feedback on people's writing, and people gave me feedback on my writing. Who does this in class? Where you do like a peer review and you read someone's work and you give them feedback? And then they read your work and they give you feedback? So who likes that kind of process? Who likes doing that? Anyone? Okay, that's good. I think it's hard. Raise your hand if you think it's hard to give someone feedback on their work. I do too. Raise your hand if you think it's hard to receive feedback on your work. Same. Because first of all, giving feedback on someone's work, you want to give them something constructive. You don't want to just say it was terrible without telling them how to fix it. You don't want to say it was amazing if there's still work that needs to be done. And then getting feedback on your work is really hard. How many times have you spoken to a teacher and you've given them your assignment and then they tell you that you have a million things that you need to fix? Have we all had that experience before? Yes. Yeah. So it's hard. It's hard to learn how to get feedback. And also, if you want to become a writer one day, there's a lot of people who have a lot of opinions. And that's not all nice. And you have to think, okay, they're just trying to help me to make my book better. I'm going to do whatever I can to make my book better. and I can feel sad for a moment that they might not like it, but then I'm going to get back to work. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So this is me at the end stage of a manuscript in my old apartment where I'm going through the manuscript line by line. It's a stage of editing process called line editing where you literally go line by line by line. The editor gives you notes on every single line of things to fix, and you have to go back and say whether you agree with them or not. Oh, here's the rest of my thing. I think it got out of order. Okay, so at the end of the new school, this is where my classes were. At the end of the new school, I had this gigantic stack of paper, okay? And I thought, I want to publish this book. This is why I went to this program. I want to become a published writer. Now, I'm going to tell you something, that this book is not this book. I did go from this stack of paper to seeing my book on a shelf, but that was not the book that I wrote when I was in the program, when I was in the New School MFA. The book that I wrote in the New School MFA program, I never sold. I must have gotten like 30 rejections. Never sold it. Finally, one day, it was summertime, I got the last rejection, and I said, that's it. I'm putting it away. I had summer off because I also worked in a school library. I have the whole summer ahead of me. I'm writing 5 pages a day of a new book. And by the end of the summer, I'm going to have a draft, and I'm going to sell this book, and I have to put this other book away. Now, it's not all bad news because that book that I couldn't sell ended up sort of finding its way in little bits and pieces to other books that I've written over the years. But in that moment, you could imagine that it felt pretty devastating, right? That I'd worked so hard and I could not sell it. And I thought, I'm not going to give up on writing, but I am going to put this book away for now. So eventually, 5 pages a day, I worked on this book, My Life in Pink and Green. I had this idea, it was going to be about a local pharmacy, and I had the character in mind, and I had it all in front of me, and I said, I am selling this, I am making this happen. So what happens is, when you first want to sell a book, your first step is to get an agent. And this is my agent, Alyssa, and she also represents R.J. Palacio, who wrote Wonder. Who here has read Wonder? Probably a lot of people. So their job, an agent's job is like your coach, right? An agent's job is to sell as much of your work as they can. They need to believe in you as an author and like your whole long-term career path, and they also need to believe in your individual work. So finally, I had Alyssa as my agent, and even though she couldn't sell the first book, the camp book that I told you about, she believed in Pink and Green, and she said, we're going to sell this, we're going to work on this together. So I worked on 3 drafts of My Life in Pink and Green together before she even considered finding a publisher for it. 3 drafts, that's a lot of work. And then, eventually, we found my first editor, Maggie, who said, I really like this book, I want to publish it. And now, do you think my work is done at that point? No, definitely not. I had to work on 3 more drafts with Maggie, which is a lot of revising. Now, who here is familiar with revising, who has to do revising in class? And who here has that feeling when you go to your teacher or your parent or somebody and you say, I finished this, it's perfect, it's done, and they look at you and they say, well, I think this could be fixed, I think that could be fixed. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Teachers, sounds familiar? So that is so much of being a writer, is finishing a draft, feeling like it's good, and having someone say, not good. Not that it's not good, but it's not done. So Maggie gave me 7 pages, single spaced, like this. This is the first page. And I'm going to admit, when I first got this email, this letter, what do you think I did? Any guess? I cried. I really cried. I was so overwhelmed that I thought, I'm going to cry. And I did. Because I had come so far, I finally had a publisher who wanted to publish it. I finally felt good about it. I had worked on it for so long, and then I still had more work to do. But eventually I stopped crying. I carried this letter with me on the subway all the time, read it over and over and over again to try to process all the changes I had to make. And eventually I finished it. I eventually worked on it enough with Maggie, and it eventually got to a place where my work was mostly done and the extra fun stuff started, which was when they started working on the cover. Now, this looks pretty good to me, right? Like, this could be a book cover. What do you think? Yeah?
Yeah, I like it.
So Chad, the art director, sent it to me. He also designed all the Wimpy Kid books, by the way, if there are any Wimpy Kid fans here. So he sent this to me, and I thought, oh my God, this looks amazing. Like, this is great. Great, we're done. And he said, no, this is just a mock-up. This is just my idea of what I think the cover should be. He said it came to him in a dream. I don't know if it did. And he said, this is just my idea of what I think the book could be. So what they did after that was that they hired a model. They did a whole photo shoot. They put the face mask on. She got her nails done. They put cucumbers on her eyes. Like, none of this is digital. This is like a real person who went to do a photo shoot and to make his mock-up of the cover into a reality. And then that's the cover. So do you guys think this looks really different?
I like the first one.
I mean, it doesn't really look that different, right? But it's funny when you look at it next to each other, just a mock-up.
I like the first one better.
That's interesting, yeah. So then this was the final cover. And then they do all sorts of marketing. The book ends up in the catalog. It ends up in bookstores. This is a very blurry picture my brother sent to me, but when you finally get to the place where your book is in a bookstore and people can see it, they're so excited, they send you pictures. It feels amazing every time. I've published 26 books, and it's still just as exciting to go into a bookstore and see my book on a shelf. I take a picture of it. I feel like I'm visiting it. I love when kids write to me from all over the country, sometimes other countries, and they think, they say, I read your book, and I like to imagine my books all in far off places. People take them on vacation and things. It's really fun to think about all the places my books go. So after My Life in Pink and Green came out, I really wanted to write a sequel, and the publisher said no. And one thing you should know is that authors don't always get their way. They said, we think Lucy's story is done. We don't think we need a sequel right now. Write something else. So I wrote 2 other books, one called Sweet Treats and Secret Crushes, and one called Real Life Starring Us. And then finally, they said, okay, we'll let you do a sequel. Then I did a second Pink and Green and a third Pink and Green. I wrote 2 books called in the Dog Beach series. Has anyone read those? Welcome to Dog Beach. And then I was kind of at a place where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. The books are doing okay, but not like amazing, and my editor was leaving, and it was sort of a hard time, and I thought, I came this far, I published these books, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep publishing books, because even if you publish a bunch of books, it doesn't mean you can keep publishing books forever. And then one day, it was like the universe, everything was all working out. Has anyone had those feelings where you just feel like things are going well? You score 3 goals in soccer. Yeah, you all get it. You had an amazing experience. You finish a painting. You get an A on a test. Whatever it is, you just feel like things are going my way. So what happened was, an editor at HarperCollins named Maria sent me an email, sent it to Alyssa, my agent, and me, and said, we have this idea we want to do, and it's a book about 2 friends who make a bucket list of 11 things they want to do before they turn 12. Would Lisa be interested in writing it? And it's going to be 2 books, and it's going to be, one is going to be called 11 Before 12, one is going to be called 12 Before 13. One is from one character's point of view, one's from the other point of view. Would Lisa want to write this? And I was like, yes, this is a dream. That's my favorite thing to write. 2 friends, best friends living in a town, going to the pool, like that is my dream. And even though it wasn't my idea, the characters became my own, and I love them, love them, love them. So the first one is from Kaylin's point of view, and they gave me this list, and then I had to just write the book based on this list. And the second book is from Ari's point of view. Now, I think Ari's the one with the lollipop, and Kaylin's the one with the soda, but that's just my own personal opinion. Has anyone read these friendship lists? So then that's my guess. And then the third book, there's 4 of them, but the third book, which was really cool, is that readers got to submit their ideas for their list. So hula hoop on a unicycle, someone gave me. Start a movement. Find a unicorn, someone sent me, and I had to figure out, like, well, do they mean like a real unicorn? I don't know. So all readers gave me this whole list, which I thought was so fun. So now, getting to the part that you are most familiar with. Most of you are familiar with the TBH books? Yeah? Okay. So I want to tell you about how these happened. Now, do you think it was easy to sell the TBH? Raise your hand if you think it was easy to sell the TBH books. The editors wanted them. Okay. Raise your hand if you think it was not easy. Most of you. You guys know. Okay. Very smart. What happened was, I was working at a school library. I was on this librarian's listserv, And people would write in to ask librarians questions all the time, like, can you recommend a book for this reader? Do you remember this book? Blah, blah, blah. And someone said, I want a book that's similar in format to these books called TTYL, which are really old, and I doubt anyone here has read them, and they were written in like Instant Message. Maybe the teachers remember Instant Message, but we're a little bit older. And they said, we want a book that's written in a similar format to TTYL, but with content that's appropriate for middle school. And that was literal light bulb in my brain moment. Who has had these moments before? Where they feel like they have the best idea they've ever had in their life. Best feeling, right? Best feeling? I wrote to my agent right away. I wrote to Alyssa right away. I said, I am writing this. It's going to be written in text message. It's going to be about middle school. And how many of us have had shenanigans with the group text or with texting in general? Everybody, right? Someone's kicked off. Someone sends something they shouldn't send. Someone sends a text to the wrong person, right? Whether it's on an iPhone, an iPad, a laptop, we've all been through this. So I wrote this, and I was so excited. I thought it was going to be a slam dunk. Not a slam dunk. Editors said, we don't think people are going to be texting for that long. If we publish this, in 5 years, no one's going to be reading them anymore because no one's going to be texting anymore. It was really a lot. I got a lot of rejections. My husband said, just finish the book, just finish the book, just finish the book. Finally, my editor, Maria, who edited the friendship list, agreed to publish it with HarperCollins, but she said, you have to put out 2 a year because we have no idea if people are still going to be texting for that long. So write them really quickly. We'll publish 2 a year. Originally, they committed to publish 4 of them, and then they bought 2 more, and then another 2 more. You can ask me any questions about TBH in a minute. And then I'm going to wrap up after this because I know you guys have a lot of questions. So with fortune tellers, who's made these fortune tellers before? Back in the day. Who got really into them? Okay. So my idea for fortune tellers this is my newest series. The first one just came out last year, and this is the second one. This just came out 2 weeks ago. And I had this idea of these 3 best friends who live within a couple blocks of each other in New York City. That's where I live. And they're best friends, kindergarten to 5th grade best friends. Then the pandemic happens, and they all spread apart. But before that, they have this horrible, horrible fight that they think could be resolved, but you guys were little when the pandemic started, but everyone just went home and never went back to school for like a really, really, really long time. And in New York City, people's lives after the pandemic compared to their lives before the pandemic, completely different. So many people moved away. So many people switched schools. Nobody could see each other because no one could be outside, really. And I wanted to write about what would happen to these 3 girls who were best friends that had this fight and then literally all disappear. They have no idea where they are. They don't know where anyone went and what happens to them. And so that's the first fortune tellers. And I don't want to give anything away, but you can guess that if there's a second fortune tellers book, they maybe found their way back to each other. So, no, but I don't want to give any spoilers. So I know I talk super fast, but we had so many questions in the last group that I want to make sure I leave time for them. And so hopefully you guys have some good questions. Does anyone have questions? Yes.
My cousins that are a little bit older, they love When I Turn Pretty books and like the show.
Yeah. Jenny Han has been a good friend for a long time. She's a really good writer. Yeah.
Which took the longest to write?
Which took the longest to write? I think probably My Life in Pink and Green took the longest because it was my first book, and then once you get into a groove, you kind of know it better. But it wasn't my hardest book to write. My hardest book to write was this book called Absolutely Positively Natty, which really flew under the radar, and not a lot of people haven't read, and that was very, very hard for me to write. Yeah.
What made you to like the book It Took Everlasting?
I just loved it. I had just moved to New York from Connecticut. It was a really, really hard time for me. I had I had so much trouble finding friends there. I had this amazing 6th grade teacher named Miss Mayer, and we read it, and I was blown away. I still to this day think about that water and think about what it would be like to live forever, and when you love someone so much that you don't want to lose them, and that feeling of, is it a blessing to live forever, is it not? And like the Tucks and the whole, all their friends had died, and it was just like, I still to this day think about it. I must have read that book 40 times at least. Yeah.
What was your favorite character in Everlasting and why?
I have to say Winnie, even though that seems kind of obvious. I think it is. Yeah.
Out of all the books you wrote, which one's your favorite?
So out of all the books that I've written, my favorite book, I'm sorry, I have my back to some people. My favorite book is My Summer of Pink and Green, and I'll tell you why. First of all, we're almost at summer. Who's excited for summer? We love summer. Summer is my favorite season. And so I was so thrilled to go back to those characters because I love them. And I also love to write about the beach and going out for ice cream and eating lobster rolls and hanging out. And so it was the most fun to write because I love summer and I love being with those characters. Yeah.
What was some of your latest books?
The most recent one is this one. This just came out like May 6th. I guess it was already a month ago, which flew by. Yeah.
What is your favorite book out of all of them?
My favorite? So My Summer of Pink and Green was the most fun to write. But I don't know if I have a favorite book. It's kind of like asking somebody who their favorite kid is. I don't know if I could pick a favorite. But I had the most fun writing My Summer of Pink and Green. Yes, and the green sweatshirt.
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a mini Bernedoodle, and I'm obsessed with her. I love her. I tell her every day she's my best friend. I think my kids feel jealous of how much I love the dog, but I love the dog. Yes.
What's your dog's name?
Her name is Kibitz, which is a word in a language called Yiddish, which I don't know if any of you have heard of. It's a mixture of Hebrew and German, and Kibitz means to like chat, like a chatterbox. Yeah.
What gave you the idea of the fortune telling?
That came from my daughter's obsession with making fortune tellers in 3rd grade, and this feeling of like, what if you had something that you had made that you thought you threw out, but then you started finding it again? Like, what would happen?
Why did you make TBH?
TBH was because I wanted to write a book that was in an alternate format, because how many people love reading a really thick, long book here? Some people do, but not everybody. And I wanted to write a book that would feel like a little bit more accessible, and I thought, we're all on our phones way too much. We're all texting way too much. What would it be like if a book was written in text? Yeah.
What's your favorite?
My favorite book ever? I would say definitely Tuck Everlasting, and this series called the Friends Forever series, which was basically just about these girls having sleepovers, and I loved it so much. I just get it from the school last year and so forth. Yeah. Good question. So it was a book about camp. Does anyone here go to sleepaway camp? So it was a book about a girl going to this sleepaway camp. And even though I never published it, like in 12 Before 13, she goes to sleepaway camp. And in 13 3/4, she goes to sleepaway camp. So even though it's not that book, the bits and pieces of it found its way to other books. Yeah.
You said you wrote like the diary and like you trendy like.
I'm not actually. I'm on Facebook with her. Like I'm an old person on Facebook. But I moved away at the end of 5th grade. I moved from Connecticut to Long Island, and it was just like really difficult. I didn't stay in touch with a lot of people. Nobody has phones then, and we kind of lost touch. Yeah.
How old were you when you started writing?
So I loved writing ever since I was a little kid. I think I first started writing seriously when I was about 24. Mm-hmm.
The second one is how many books in total?
So I published 26 books, and then I have 3 more that are going to come out. So did I tell you guys about my new book yet? I don't think I have. Okay, so top secret, sort of, for a little bit longer. It's going to be announced soon. But the book I'm working on right now is written half in text message and half in narrative, like half from a character's point of view. And there's going to be 3 of those, and it's called Friend Group. Because how many people say the word friend group? Like, my kids say it's so much, and so it's a little bit about like the shenanigans that go on with texting and friends and all of that. Yes. I don't think so, but I think that the book I'm working on now is the most similar to the TBH because it's half text message, just different characters. Yes.
How many kids do you have and how old are they?
I have 2 kids. My older daughter is 15 and my younger daughter is 11 and a half. So they have a lot of drama. So don't tell them that sometimes I pay attention to what's going on with their friends and think, this could make a good book one day. Yes?
How do you get your ideas for some of your books?
So my ideas come from pretty much like anywhere and everywhere. Like, My Life in Pink and Green started out because I wanted to write about a pharmacy, and I was at my brother's college graduation, and there was a girl sitting in the row in front of us, and something about her just inspired this character of Lucy. She was so bubbly, she was so chatty, she was so effervescent, and she became like Lucy to me. And so that's where that idea came from. For Friendship List, it wasn't my idea, they came to me. TBH, I told you about the listserv. Dog Beach, has anyone here been to Block Island ever? So I have a friend who her family has this house on Block Island that they've had with her great aunts, and they've had it in the family for a long time. And so Dog Beach is about a dog babysitting, like a kid's dog babysitting business that takes place on a place like Block Island. And I love dogs, obviously. And who's read The Babysitter's Club or seen the show? So this was supposed to be like the Babysitter's Club, but with dogs on an island with a beach and summery things. And it doesn't, not that many people read it, but people are still reading it. It's not as much as the others. Yeah.
What was your least favorite?
Least favorite book, like to read? Someone asked me this last time. I'm totally stumped. I've got to prepare for this. I don't know if I have a least favorite book that I've read. I'll have to come back to you. But this is a very hard question. I'm going to come prepared with this next time. Because I've actually never been asked this before today, but 2 people here have asked it. So I got to be prepared. Who else? Yes?
What is your most popular book?
I think the most popular books are a tie between the TBH and Friendship List, which is funny because they both came out at the same time. But those are, I think, those are the books I get the most fan mail about. Yeah.
What inspired you to be a writer? Because you were going to be like other stuff. What like really made you want to? Oh yeah.
Who here likes to make up stories? Like even if you don't write them down, you're just like walking around and you're like daydreaming about something. Okay, that was me. I was constantly daydreaming as a kid. Every parent-teacher conference my parents went to, they were like, Lisa's a good student, but she is like lost in the clouds. She's like a space cadet. She's on another planet. I don't know if anyone's heard this before.
Space Cadet is a song.
It is a song? Yeah. I don't know if it's a song. You'll have to see the song later. I was always at another planet daydreaming. And so I was always making up stories. And so when I thought, what do I love most? It's reading, writing, making stuff up. And I thought, this is a dream career for me. I love making stuff up. So not in a lying way, but in a like, even today, like there's a comic book store a couple blocks from my apartment, and I'll walk by it and I'll think like, what is it like if my family just randomly worked at this comic book store? And it's like, I don't even know where this is coming from, but I'll just go on a long daydream about what that would be like. Yeah.
Do you come to school?
I do. I had another visit this week. Sometimes it's like busier than others, it depends. But this is actually my favorite. This is actually my last slide. Didn't even show you, but it's my favorite. That's me, visiting another school. This is my favorite part of the whole job, is meeting readers and talking to readers and responding to fan mail and answering questions. This is my favorite part. Because writing is kind of a lonely job, like you're just sitting at home writing by yourself. But when I get to come to talk to students like you, best. Who did I not get to? Yes?
How long did
The TBH books are pretty speedy. I could probably write a TBH draft in about a month and a half because I just love writing that way. I love writing dialogue. I love writing in text. I don't have to do as much like intricate plotting because like it just sort of comes through as they're talking. So I could write a TBH book in like a month and a half. Who else? Does anyone else have any other questions? I did not get to. Yes.
Who's your favorite character out of all your books?
My favorite character out of all of my books. I think, you know what I'm going to say? I don't think I have a favorite character. But you know what my favorite thing is? When I have a best friend duo. I think I do my best writing when I write about two best friends, like Ari and Kaylin in Friendship List, Lucy and Sunny in My Life in Pink and Green. The book I'm writing now in Friend Group, their names are Sadie and Olive. That is my best thing, when it's two characters who love each other, but also kind of really annoy each other. We all have that feeling with someone, right? So, does anyone here read my book, Dear Friends? So, Dear Friends is actually about a friendship breakup. And I think we've all gone through this at one point or another. I have, even as an adult. And Dear Friends, I love, but it's not my favorite only because she loses so many of her friends. She makes friends and it works out, but the character Lenny loses some of her friends. And I love to write like a best friend duo. Yeah.
How long have you been writing for?
My first book came out in 2009, so 16 years. That's like since I've been publishing books. I forgot what year it was for a minute. Yes.
Like be an author, what would you go to college for? Like for a different job?
Here are my other dream jobs. Okay, if I could pick any other job right now, I would work in a hotel. I love hotels. I would work at a front desk of a hotel. I would also become like a flower arranger. Like, I really love flowers, and I'd want to learn how to arrange flowers. What other job would I have? I would maybe want to be a matchmaker. I love setting people up. And I think there was another job that I was like, if I wasn't a writer, I would do this, and now I've lost track of it. When I was little, this doesn't even exist anymore, but when I was little, I used to want to like work in a toll booth. Has anyone even seen a toll booth with a person? Probably not. But I thought that would be like super fun. Yes. You have a question?
Yeah, where do you get your ideas from in the first place? Like, I feel like it's kind of an obvious question, but like from a pretty obvious, but still want to ask it for no reason. And then the other question I have is, you know how like in your fortune teller's book thingy, where in the story does it have anything to do with like a fortune teller?
Good questions. So I'll answer the second one first. So the fortune tellers, these three best friends, Millie, Nora, and Bee, were obsessed with these fortune tellers in third grade. They made them all the time. And like obsessed, like they would try to sell them in their school as a fundraiser. All they did was make the fortune tellers. And then they had this horrible fight in fifth grade, and they've sort of stopped making them by then, but they do a little bit. And they all go their separate ways. And then the fortune tellers sort of start popping up for each of them. They're like, I thought I threw these out. And then one girl's cleaning at her desk, and she finds one. And then the school that they went to is sort of shutting down, so a teacher mails one of them a box of them. They found them, and they said, I want to mail these to you. And these fortune tellers keep popping back up, and that inspires the girls to reach out to each other. So that book, the idea came from the fact that my kids were obsessed with fortune tellers for a time, and about what happens when you have a terrible fight and how do you find your way back to each other. But the ideas can come from really anywhere and everywhere.
Also, the other thing is something also, what's your favorite hobby? Like, I feel like it's obvious as well. It's like another obvious question. That's pretty.
No, there's good questions. I love to read, which is the obvious part. But other favorite thing, this is going to sound so boring. Hopefully it doesn't. But I love walking. I love walking around New York City. It's my favorite thing. I could walk all day.
Also, my favorite hobby is doing art.
Art?
Yeah, I like doing crafts and stuff. I made a giant origami burrito.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm not good at crafts. My kids are kind of bad at me that I'm not a crafty mom.
I have, at some point, a little while ago in 5th grade, I used, it was back when I was in pulp, but, I used to make, these fortune tellers out of this, shiny paper.
That's super cool.
They were, the paper was colored, but it was very shiny. And I used to, call the, fortune tellers by what, the paper reminded me of. There was this, if the paper was, purple or something, I'd call it, an amethyst one. And then, if it was, blue or something, I'd call it, aqua green, aka my birthstone.
That's awesome. Did anyone see those books that you can buy that help you make the fortune tellers? Like you buy the actual book with the instructions, and then it has like you need to have it specific square paper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really cool. That's a really cool thing. Yes.
I have another question.
You have a question? Is there anyone I didn't get to? Yes.
How long have you been writing?
I've been writing for a really long time. I started writing seriously when I was like 24. Then my first book came out. I don't even remember what age it was. I can't even tell you. My first book came out 16 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. I'm still working on this book friend group right now. I'm about to send the first draft to my editor like next week. I'm a little bit nervous. Yeah.
Are you planning on retiring ever?
I would love to retire.
No.
But I have 2 kids and they're very expensive. They cost me a lot of money. And I love writing, so I think the thing is that retiring is very good. And I want to, but I could keep writing until I'm like 95. So it's not like I will be too, I'll still be able to type, hopefully. I won't have too much arthritis.
Are you interested in having your books become like TV Netflix?
I mean, I dream of that. I've had some close calls, but nothing that, it always sort of fizzles. But I got an email from a reader yesterday who wrote me the sweetest note, and she said, I'm in acting lessons, and I'm 10, and I'm an amazing actress, and I have an agent, and I really want to be Ari in the movie of The Friendship List. I could send you a video clip. And I feel so bad because it's not up to me. Like, I can't make it into a movie unless someone wants to. I can't make it into a show unless someone wants to. But I would love to, but I have no control over it. But we've come a little bit close.
So it is a different process.
It's a whole different process. It has to be, you have to have a writer who's interested in it. You have to have a production company who wants to make it. A lot of times it's if they have an actress lined up. Like if they have an actress that someone really wants to get like launched, they could think it would be perfect for that actress. I mean, it's such a long shot. Like I've had My Life in Pink and Green, they wrote a pilot. Then it didn't go anywhere. Friendship List, they wrote a pilot. Who knows? Yeah.
Did Tuck Everlasting inspire any of your books or characters?
Not specifically. It's just that I love it. Like I adore it. I think it's brilliant. There's a rumor that Natalie Babbitt wrote it and it needed absolutely no revision. I don't know if that's true. And did I tell you that the 50th anniversary edition is going to have her original manuscript pages in the cover? Did I tell you that? It's going to be awesome. Yeah. You know what? My mom saved everything of mine, and I think I have some of them. I'm going to tell you a story that might not be the first ever story, but we had to write a myth. Did anyone learn about myths here, like Greek myths and things? I think it was in 6th grade we did a whole lesson on Greek myths, and we had to write our own myth. And mine was, I loved penguins as a kid. Anyone here really love penguins? Yes! So my myth was why penguins wear tuxedos. And then I wrote another one about why there are sun showers. So that's like, that's off the top of my head what my first, I think there was something before that, but that's what comes to mind. I want to step on anybody. Yes?
Who is your favorite author besides yourself?
My favorite author. Has anyone read the book Elsewhere by Gabrielle Zevin? It's so good. I would maybe read it like, you guys are in 5th grade, right? Maybe read it in like 7th grade. It's similar to Tuck Everlasting in that it also talks about like the afterlife a little bit, even though that's not what Tuck Everlasting is, but it also talks about life and death. And I loved it. I love it so much. She's an amazing, incredible author. I think she's probably my favorite author. And then I also like the author of adult books named J. Courtney Sullivan. She's also really good. Yeah.
What was your favorite book to read when you were young?
My favorite book to read when I was younger was this series called Friends Forever, which were all like love till the kitchen sinks, love till the meatball bounces, these friends having a sleepover with each other. They all live in this town. One moves away. And raise your hand if you like books with a lot of plot and a lot of action. Okay, so as a kid and as an adult, I have to admit, I kind of just like books that are completely driven by the characters, right? That like you just learn about the relationships between the characters. That's what I love the most. I don't necessarily like need a ton of plot. I don't need a ton of action, but I know that a lot of readers do. So in this sleepover books, like there wasn't a ton happening. They were just kind of like all hanging out together. Yes.
Did you have like an inspiration like to be an author?
of a person, like a specific person? I would think, I also love Judy Blume. Does anyone here still read Judy Blume? Sometimes they still read her. I think she wrote about real life situations and real life kids going through real life things, getting into arguments with their parents, going through stuff. And I wanted to be like that. I wanted to write stories that anyone could read in any town, in any city, and even if they didn't live in a city, but they lived in the suburbs, they could understand it. If they did live in the city, they could read about a small town. But the situations in the books were so universal that anyone could relate to them and sort of see themselves in those books. I find it so comforting when I'm reading a book and I see myself in the characters and I see myself in the story, and it makes sense to me, right? Like I'm like, oh, that family could be my family. This situation could be my situation. That was my main goal, was to write books that really, really resonated with as many people as possible. Have I gotten to everybody?
Okay, all right.
That was amazing. Thank you guys so much for all of your awesome questions. I want to say one more thing. By the way, if you think of a question later, you can always email me and I'll write back. So that's
And those of you that ordered a book by Mrs. Greenwald, please stay behind and you can get it now. Okay? All right.